This is Free Zone Radio.
For Free Zone Radio, this is With Honors, the Summer Series. Hey, happy summer break, everybody. School is out, summer is finally here, and that always sounds like it should mean that everything just slows down, but really, everything just shifts into a different kind of busy, because the school year's over, but, we still have plenty of content to release, and we still have plenty of things to be doing. This is our start for the summer series for With Honors, and the idea is pretty simple. During the school year, we're usually inside the structure of the class, with reading our texts and preparing for the assignments and the exams, thinking about our units and deadlines and recording schedule. But over the summer, I wanted to step outside that a bit, have the same kinds of conversations, just without the bell schedule in the background. More about books and teaching and ideas and travel and meeting up with people and getting to do stuff that otherwise just sits outside the margins during the school year. And of course, this summer we've got the big summer read coming up, which for us is The Lord of the Rings. It's one big book split up into 3 volumes, and most people know it as the trilogy, so we're going to be taking it a book at a time, because really it is a big, sprawling story, and it's a little intimidating in the best kind of way. It's the kind of reading that I think reminds us why summer even exists in the first place, because summer vacation is about the big quests, the quests that we all are taking. Summer is not exactly slow. It just fills up in a different kind of way. For me, my morning will start with letting the dogs out and having coffee and playing video games for a little bit. But then, there's the usual rotation of dad chores and house stuff that somehow always multiplies the moment you have time for it. And I've been trying to stay consistent with my weightlifting and my fitness, which that always takes up more time than you think it might if you're going to be doing it right. And then before you notice, it's mid-afternoon and you're picking up a kid from practice and figuring out dinner. And then the day is winding up. It moves fast, just not in the same kind of way that the school year does. So in the middle of all that, getting to sit down, like actually sit down in the middle of the day, like a real human being with a friend at a coffee shop and talking about books, man, that almost feels strange at first. Like you're doing something that you're not quite supposed to have time for. Because during the school year, that kind of thing just does not happen. You're in classrooms and meetings and hallways and managing bathrooms and everybody and everything all at once. There is no, well, hey, let's grab coffee at noon and talk about a book kind of day. But that's exactly what this first episode of the summer series is. A conversation over coffee about a book that a friend and I were thinking about for the classroom. Florence Knapp's The Names. We're spending summer break. Starting off, this is kind of like day 2 of summer break, right? Because we had Memorial Day yesterday, and it rained all day long.
Yes. It really rained all weekend.
It did.
It has been such a dreary start to summer break.
Some years are like that,
Which I'm okay with. I love a rainy day.
I love a rainy day. And Friday was our first kind of half day of summer break, and it stormed and rained and everything. And I just stayed inside and edited YouTubes. It was nice.
For me, so Friday was Bryn's wedding, and which a part of me, I'm like, a wedding on that half day is such a stressful, like you leave school and then basically you're going home and just prepping to get ready to go to this wedding. And family pictures were at 4 and the wedding was at 6. And so I don't feel like I got to enjoy Friday. And then Saturday, I think from where moving classrooms that whole week, I slept all day Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
I took a massive nap.
Crash.
Yeah. And then Sunday, it poured. Mm-hmm. So, but I enjoy a rainy day at home.
Yeah.
Like, I can open my front windows, the curtains, and just see the rain and turn all the lights off in the living room and cozy up.
With a good book.
With a good book.
Kind of like this one. This is The Names, written by Florence Knapp, right?
Yes.
So how did we stumble on this book? You brought it.
I did. So I got this book in my book of the month. And it right away appealed to me because you're talking about how a name can affect someone's life. And I wanted to look at this one as a possible honors book because with my 9th grade honors class, I look at how, like, what is more prevalent in creating a person's identity, their biology or their environment. And so I thought, how cool would that be to also bring in like a person's name, and how would that name change their environment, or if you're being named after your father, who was named after his father, who was possibly named after his father, that I feel like also kind of goes into your biology of like, it's being passed down from your lineage. And so I thought, man, this would be the perfect book for that.
Well, we think of so many genetic traits that are passed down, right, through bloodline and heredity, but that is 100% true. There are also other traits like family heritage and reputation and everything that are, handed down from generation to generation. If your grandfather, Brutus, was known for being the one that got rid of the last king in Rome, and you're a Brutus in the age of a tyrant, you're going to be feeling that name affect you in ways that a guy named John is not going to be affected by. Names really do matter. That was something I always told classes, is that names matter. When you look at the Harry Potter characters, their names are supposed to be like these Dickensian characters who reflect themselves through their names. But also, like, plenty of times those names are selected. They're selected by authors for a purpose, but the name impacts who you become as well. Not just reflecting who you are, but it affects things around you. The example I always give is Johnny Cash's song, A Boy Named Sue. And if you're a boy named Sue, you're going to get into a lot of fights. You're going to get beat the crap up left and right. Why would his dad name him Sue, but he tracks him down to a bar and says, "I'm Sue," and they get into a fight. And the dad tells him, "I did that because this is a hard old world and you needed to be made tough." And I knew if I named you that, you'd get into fights and toughen up. Pretty crappy parenting, but still, the idea is there that names affect you. You wanted to pick this for an honors class. You were kicking around the idea for an honors freshman class. What about this do you think is especially good for an honors freshman class?
Well, I don't know. The way that I try to do freshman English, it's like I almost feel like it's an introductory course to high school, but I also try to show them you're growing up. In high school, you're kind of deciding who you want to become. And so with freshman English, I've made it this coming of age journey, basically, of where we're looking at, what it takes to grow up, what it takes to become this next version of you. And so this book, it goes through this boy's life in 3 different timelines of if he had been named this, if he had been named this, if he had been named this. And I think it's just such a beautiful journey of, with this name, he was like this at age 7, age 14, I loved that progression of it. And I think I try to have these serious talks with them about these real life things that are going to pop up in their life. We've talked about this with Romeo and Juliet and talking about age gap relationships and the parental pressures and things like that. And I just thought there's so many things that pop up throughout this book, so many important discussions that you could have with these kids that could possibly mean something.
Yeah. You're 100% right. These kids, people, human beings, we change so much, especially in that window of time of middle school and high school. You kiddos look at your freshman year photographs or look at your 8th grade pictures of you, and then your senior year look back. And you often get cringed out. You're like, oh no, I can't believe I look like that as a freshman. But we change so much. Sophomores, I get to have them a full calendar year, and they change so much in the course of 180 days.
Oh, yeah.
And your name, your outfit, your identity, all of that plays together. I do think it's also good for an ELA classroom, but also an honors ELA classroom, that you can have these mature conversations about how identity, name, clothing, style, whatever, affects you. It shows up in The Great Gatsby. Jay Gatsby was never born Jay Gatsby. He was born as a poor kid in the great Midwest, a child to some migrant farmers, and his name was James Gatz. And he says as a child he knew he was a son of God and that he wanted to be something great one day. So he followed his stars to lead him to Dan Cody and then to lead him to Meyer Wolfsheim and New York and this and that. And so he changes names. Have you ever gone by a nickname? Like, really?
Oh, gosh.
Have you ever gone by a nickname?
Well, when I was a kid, I called myself Han because I couldn't say my own name.
Oh.
And so I was Han, which prompted my sister to refer to me as Han. And that didn't really come about until we were watching like old home videos when I was like a high schooler, and she heard me calling myself that, and so then she started calling me Han. Now, I feel like with my name Hannah, kids automatically when I was in school wanted to call me Hannah Banana, and I hated that. I hated it with a passion. It offended me. I did not want to be called Hannah Banana.
No.
And if you called me Hannah Banana, I like held a personal grudge against you for it. Sarah Anderson called me Heine. I'm going to be honest, I don't know why she called me Heine, but
We
she
really got to
had
get
me.
you some new friends.
I know, but she had me as Heine in her phone forever and ever and ever. And then I think it was literally just last year that she was like, I'm going to change you back to Hannah now in my phone, because her husband had said, who's Heine?
Oh, yeah.
So those were really like the only big nicknames that I had.
What about at school? Because we all wear different masks. We all, aim for different identities. The name you go by with your friends is not necessarily the name you go by at church. Is not necessarily the name you go by with your family. What do your kids at school call you?
Oh, I'm Miss Randolph.
Right.
Yeah.
But so many of my students skip the Mr. part, and they have for years just
You're
called
just
me
Crockett. Yeah.
by. Should I be offended by that?
I don't know, like, I've always referred to you as Crockett.
Right.
I mean, even now that we work together and we're colleagues, you're Crockett. Like, I don't think I could call you Jason.
No, and not because it's a formality thing.
Yeah.
I'm friends with people that I used to have in class, and there was one who, like, even for years after graduating, he kept calling me, oh, hey, Mr. Crockett, Mr. Crockett. And it's like, ew, stop. Like, what are you doing? I really had to break him of doing that. But now, most of my students, I mean, heck, just since I've been a teacher, most of my students call me Crockett. And I don't feel offended by that.
No.
I feel like if they call me Mr. Crockett, they probably don't know me that well.
Yeah, and it's almost like if I like have to call, sometimes I catch myself calling you Mr. Crockett in front of students or something, but even with that I'm like, oh, that feels weird, because you have been Crockett since I was in high school. And it's...
But never, ever, ever do they call me Jason.
No.
Never.
Or Mr. Jason.
Ooh, God, no.
Yeah.
Sometimes they call me Mr. C. Sometimes. I don't love that, but I don't hate it. It's just, it doesn't feel like we really know each other yet.
When I taught 6th grade, I had some 6th graders that wanted to call me Miss Hannah. And even like with sixth grade, which I know they're a younger crowd, that still felt too juvenile to me. Like maybe if I was a kindergarten teacher, Miss Hannah.
Yeah, that feels
something
right.
about a student calling you by your first name that just cringes me out.
Absolutely.
That I'm like, no, there's a line there. I am Miss Randolph. I did have some sixth graders call me Miss Randy.
Oh.
Yeah, because they just wanted to give me a nickname so bad. So I was Miss Randy to them. And it was very weird because to me, Randolph and Randy, like, that doesn't feel like a natural break off. I mean, I think I would rather them call me Miss R. And then I had one want to call me Mama Ran, and I was like, no.
We're going to kill that right now.
Yeah, yeah. No.
I have had students call me J. Croc before.
Yeah.
J. Croc, just together.
Yeah.
And I don't know, if I really know you, I'm probably going to let that slide. That's okay. But that was bringing me to my other idea. As professionals, we're wearing the mask of teacher at school, but names filter into identity. What do you think about students calling their teacher by their first name?
I don't like it.
I hate it.
I don't like it. I think
despise
it's like, it feels disrespectful to me. Even if it's a student that knows you on a personal level. Like, I mean, I had a student in my honors class this year that we've kind of always just said we're related. She's related to my aunt, who I'm related to through marriage. And so I've known her since she was born. But at school, she called me Miss Randolph. She never once walked into my class and was like, hey, Hannah. And to me, she respected me in that way. She knew that it was a professional setting. And we never had to have that conversation. It wasn't a conversation we had in the summer before her 9th grade year where it was like, you've got to call me Miss Randolph. Like, she knew. And I thought, okay, like, it's a sign of respect. Like, she respects the classroom. She respects the circumstance.
I agree. And when I started in 2007, so this is going to sound like boomer right now, but when I started in 2007, like that was the formality that was expected among teachers at our school was we refer to each other as Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so. The principals modeled it, the other teachers modeled it, we just always do that. But here we are 20 years later, and in the last few years, I've heard students say, oh, Amy needs me to come up to her room. You mean Miss Hawkins? And they'll go, oh, well, she says I can call her Amy. And I know that's completely individual. That's a one-to-one thing. But for me, I want that kid referring to Miss Hawkins as Miss Hawkins because she is your principal. She's my supervisor. Let's have some professional respect here. Now, one-on-one, I might call her Amy. Yeah. And she probably calls me a lot of other names, too. But still, in front of people, it needs to be professional, especially because we need to breed some distance between us and the kids, right? Too often, we hear the cautionary tale. Too often, there are teachers who blur the line between student and teacher relationship. It's really good to be liked by your kids, but at the same time, you cannot cross that line.
Right. And I feel like it still needs that boundary of I am teacher, you are student.
We're not friends.
We're not friends.
We can be friendly.
Yes.
And after you graduate, maybe, I'll go to Westside Grocery and have coffee with you on summer break and then podcast about this awesome book. But at the time, you're my sophomore right now. We're not friends. We can be friendly, but we're not friends.
Right.
I love the crap out of you, but we're not friends. You're still my student. So that's why it irks me.
And I also feel like, too, I think it affects classroom management. I think if you have some kids calling you by your first name, some kids calling you by your Mr. or Mrs. name, I think if you have that lessened boundary with some students, you're not going to have complete control over your classroom. And I think you can tell a difference by the teachers who let their students call them by their first name, or even sometimes with admin that let students call them by their first name. I think that those admin might have issues when it comes to if they ever have to discipline those students.
Oh, for real?
I think they don't feel like they can because you've had that lessened boundary with them.
Yeah, and if you're referring to me as Jason,
Yeah.
and I have to be serious with you right now, yeah.
It becomes awkward then.
I know that sounds like a real boomerish thing, and I'm sure there are plenty of teachers out there who can maintain a boundary. I'm thinking of To Kill a Mockingbird and how Jem and Scout always referred to their father by his first name, Atticus. And there was never, ever, ever a day of disrespect between the kids and their father. That was just how they were raised.
Right.
But that's not always what's going on in our classrooms.
No.
And it's such a temporary thing, too. You're inheriting people that you haven't raised up.
Right. And there's so many different types of students out there. I mean, there's those students that can't read a room. And it's like, if some of those students see some kids calling you Jade Croc and they don't have that relationship with you, I think some kids know, well, I don't have that relationship. But some kids coming up to you being like, Jade Croc.
Never, never, never.
It's like you want to look at him and be like, no.
Right.
But then you're setting yourself up for that boundary of, well, he's heard other kids do it, so
Right.
I don't know. I think because we're still teaching kids and they don't necessarily have those social skills yet
No.
and life experience to realize you have different relationships with some kids, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was also a little bit weird the last 4 years because my daughter was a student there. And it's like, what am I supposed to call you in the classroom? Dad. Like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to call you?
Or like when she has friends over
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah. Which, in that case, it was always Crockett or J. Croc.
Yeah.
Because I got to know those friends and that was fine. But in the classroom, they called me Mr. Crockett, and she either called me Dad or didn't say anything. She would just say, I have a question. In the names, Florence Knapp gives us a family. The mom's name is Cora. And then her husband is named Gordon. But he's Gordon the second.
Yes.
And it is a family tradition now that father names the son Gordon. His father was Gordon, named me Gordon. They have 2 children, including their newborn son. I expect to name him Gordon. You also have their slightly older daughter, Maya.
Yes.
The beginning of the book is the baby's just been born, and mom is going tomorrow to fill out the birth certificate. We need to pick a name for this boy. And I didn't know the entire story just yet, but in the beginning, the mom is very hesitant to name him Gordon.
She's having this moral dilemma. And it's like,
Gordon.
You can tell. I mean, we as English teachers, I feel like you're probably the same way. When you're reading a book, you're automatically making inferences, and that should be a red flag that she's hesitant to name her son Gordon.
She said it gave her this icky vibe to think of the name like Gordon. Like, she did not like that. But I was thinking, but that's your husband. Like, what's wrong between
his
you
grandfather.
two? And his grandfather. Like, what's wrong with you that you don't like this assumption? So they're walking on their way. There has recently been a storm, like the day before, right? And if you're talking to me about being an English teacher, making these inferences, storms are great archetypal symbols of great change. There is a change that has come through town. Things are never going to be the same after this moment. Well, she has a decision in front of her. Which path will you choose? Are you going to name the kid Gordon? Are you going to name the kid your alternative that you kind of liked, which is Julian? Or are you going to take what's behind door number 3, which is Maya's recommendation that we call him Bear. And she gets ready to sign the paper, and that's when the timeline splits into 3 different sets of the novel. What if I named him Gordon? What if I named him Julian? What if I named him Bear? Something that I really liked appears at the end of the novel. Florence Knapp gives an appendix of all the different names that she used and what they mean. And you know what? We started off talking that authors make conscious choices about these names. How wonderful that she went through and was like, well, here's what these names mean and why they kind of coded my character.
And I thought about that as I was reading it that first time, because it put so much emphasis on, they had the conversation, is it Maya's name that means mother?
Yeah, like Earth Mother.
Because she's like, why am I not named after you? And she's like, well, you kind of are. You're named Maya. And that's where Julian comes from, because it means Sky Father. And I thought, well, I wonder what Cora means, and I wonder what Gordon means. I started thinking about, I wonder what these names mean. And then at the end, you get that appendix, and it's like, of course she thought about it.
Which Cora means heart. And then, there were so many other names, even like the neighbors. So they're characters who live in England, Scotland, right?
Yes.
And so they live in the British Isles, and their neighbors are this not always white, ethnical, diverse cast of people from the British Empire who now live in the British Isles. So you'll have characters who have names that are not exactly like Anglo regular names, too. And still, those names matter. They show up at the end.
I'm trying to remember, what was the neighbor's name that gets
The
killed
woman?
early on?
Oh, right.
Is it it starts with a V?
Let me look it up. So, the neighbor, his name is what?
Vihan.
Vihaan. And even it means something, too. So it turns out his name means sunrise or dawn of a new day. Why do you think in the text of the novel that matters, that his name is Dawn of a New Day?
Well, so I'm trying to remember, is it through the Bear timeline or the Julian timeline that he dies?
Oh, that's the Bear timeline.
Okay, so she comes home, she tells the husband that she has named the son Bear. It starts a fight, and Vihan comes over to try to help and stop, and he ends up dying in the process. And his death causes this new story, this dawn of a new day, because Father Gordon ends up going to jail for the murder of the neighbor.
And they commemorate it every year. They come back once a year on the day that he died, and they go to his grave and commemorate it with a little memorial. So he is the dawn of their new life. Which of the three timelines did you love the most?
Bear.
I did too.
There was something about the Bear timeline, it just warmed my heart, because it felt like the brother and sister relationship was so strong in that one, because she felt connected to him because that was the name she chose, Maya. And I enjoyed that. I don't know, I liked the mother's life in that timeline. I liked Cora's life because, in the Julian timeline, she's dead.
Yeah.
In the Gordon timeline, she's miserable.
Right.
She lives a horrible life in that timeline. And so I liked that we got to see her friendship with the woman neighbor.
Yeah, Mary.
And I liked that at the end of that timeline, you're kind of getting clues that she might start a new relationship. And then I liked Bear's timeline of his story too. Is it Lily that he ends
that's
up?
right.
Yeah.
Because he meets Lily when they're in elementary school.
Yes.
And it's one of those cases where you met your star-crossed love. You met your future love when you were kids, and you knew each other all the way growing up.
And so, although they have bumps along the way and the traumatic experience she goes through in Paris, I enjoy that they end up getting married. They have Pearl. But then I also hate in that timeline that Bear dies.
And that's what I was going to talk about. There's a trajectory to these timelines. How wonderful is it that there's a geometry to the stories that we tell? And Bear's timeline starts off really horrible because the dad goes ballistic when he finds out you named him Bear. He attacks Mom, tries to kill her, but Vihan saves them. And from a moment of such brutality and bloodshed and sacrifice, Bear's timeline goes on to be the good story.
I know.
And we love reading about him because Bear's such a good guy. Like, he's carefree, he's adventuresome, he's mature, he is just going to be this wonderful, unique being that lives his life. And he brings joy to other people.
And it's 100% a timeline you would expect from someone named Bear.
From somebody named Bear.
You would think that this person would just be sunshine in a bottle.
Yeah. And it also shows them living through COVID and how they had to distance themselves. And finally, he and Lily settle down together, have their child Pearl, and realize that their family dynamic, their trio, represents a continuity of Earth as well. That you have animal, plant, mineral.
Yes.
With Bear, Lily, and Pearl. But then you see it happening, that he's cleaning out this thing in the attic and he feels a tickle, and it's a wasp that stings him.
Oh my gosh.
And you realize this is his last day on Earth. So his story ends with a lot of sadness. Bear's does. On the other hand, Julian's story follows a different trajectory, because Mom doesn't get killed when she names him Julian, but she does get humiliated at first. And then only when time jumps ahead, she does get killed.
Right.
And she's taken from them. And now Grandma Shilva and her kind of sort of boyfriend neighbor is helping to raise them.
And I do enjoy that Julian gets the father figure from Grandma's boyfriend.
Yeah.
I do like that relationship, but there's something painful about Julian's storyline to me.
Well, he's so guarded.
Yes.
He doesn't want to share with people. He doesn't want to turn into his father.
He's self-conscious of himself.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't think he's attractive. He's shy. He's nervous. What is the woman's name the artist that he ends up marrying?
Yes, he marries Orla eventually.
Orla. And their story to me, like it starts off so sweet, and then they go through, it's a painful story because they're both artists, and then COVID happens, and it really shows you the effects of that pandemic on small businesses. And Julian is not wanting to sell out and go big box department store Liberty. He feels like that takes away the beauty of the small business.
Yeah.
And they're hurting for money, and it hurts their relationship, and it's painful.
And the real tensions behind every marriage come to the surface.
Yes.
The things that we all struggle with that we can probably figure out are under so much more tension when society's falling apart around you, and you're just holding this thing together with your fingertips and baling wire or art that you're trying to make.
But that's part of the beauty of that book, is it feels so real.
Yeah.
Like how that book just felt real. And I mean, it goes to show you that life, I think, as it goes through the age progression of each of these characters, they all have struggles, and it really is a true progression of life. I mean, not every year of our life is going to be sunshine, rainbows, happiness.
He and Orla, like in his timeline, he doesn't meet Lily because Mom does die after so much time, and they have to move to Ireland. So he never met Lily in this timeline. He meets Orla, and you can tell there's a chemistry between the two, and they're stranded in their studio.
During a rainstorm, it's
during
flooding.
a rainstorm. It's like the perfect romance potential.
And he is too in himself.
She's giving him all the signals. But he messes up.
Yeah.
He messes up.
And she ends up to go on for 2 years and date someone else. And they're friends for 2 years.
How many times have we messed up in our lives, and you could have been where you are now if, but we don't know that. We're creatures who live in the here and now. We don't know that. But they do get together.
Like that I can remember from college. Which, I mean, like, I don't know, like, part of me even hates to, like, say this moment because I love my husband and we have a great life.
Yeah.
But there was this guy in college that I can just remember I was so self-conscious of who I was. And, I mean, it was just one of those deals of I felt like I wasn't pretty enough. I was just very shy. But we had a history class together, and then we went through all 3 years of French together, and we partnered up in French from French 1 and decided we were going to get through it together. And I can remember it was when Interstellar was in the movie theaters, and we had talked about liking space movies, and he was like, let's go watch it. And I thought it was just like a friendly thing of like,
yes.
You know, let's go watch this space movie. You like space movies.
I can already see where this story is going.
And I was super just nervous, shy, anxious, and I said no. And I was just like, oh, well, I'm busy this weekend, like, maybe another time. And I can remember telling my mom about it. She's like, Hannah, he is asking you out on a date. Like, that is a date. And I'm like, no. So then he asked again, like the following weekend. He knew that I liked Wes Anderson movies. And he was like, I really want to watch one. Like, would you want to come over to my apartment and, maybe you show me your favorite Wes Anderson movie? And I said no again. And my mom was like, Hannah, he was giving you another chance. And we didn't speak from that point on. It was just kind of like we floated away and he started dating another girl.
But in another timeline, that would have been a different Hannah, right?
Yes.
So we all have these experiences. If I had ever had the opportunity to use this in class, I would have also shared the same kind of thing. That in kindergarten, I knew I was crazy in love with this one girl. I knew I was. But you're in kindergarten. What do you know about anything? And then by third grade, I thought I met the one. In third grade, you idiot. And then by sixth grade. And then by high school. And my wife knows this. Like, I thought I had met the person in high school. And that would have turned out to be an utter disaster if Jason had tried to make that person work. It would have been a crash, right?
Yes, same with this boy. I mean, he moved away to go live where he was not from here. He was from an outer Nashville borough, and he moved away to go live closer to his parents, and he took a girl with him that he met at Tech. And I mean, I would not have wanted to move away from my parents. Like, I mean, that was part of my whole thing is I'm super close to my family, and that would never have worked. And now he's also like a mega church youth pastor, like that I don't think.
If I had tried making that high school person work out, I would have never gone on to college and would never have met my wife, and this timeline would not exist. How much unhealthier a person would I be if I had not gone on to make the choices and meet the people that I have now? I would be a completely different person, right? I would be missing on so much if I'd never landed with her. The same thing's kind of true in both of these storylines. In Bear's storyline, Lily exists as his childhood romance that he grows up to finally marry. But in Julian's timeline, he never met Lily. And yet one day he's working on an art order for this guy who wants an engagement ring for his wife, Lily. She's already married to this other guy, and they're having a baby in another timeline where you never met her. But he and Orla, they do work. They go through their hard times, but by the end of their story, they come back together. And then you have the third timeline, Gordon.
And Lily's in that timeline, too.
And Lily is in that timeline. So it's another...
And she plays a detrimental role in that timeline.
It's another kind of geometry that I think would be neat to sketch out when you have those conversations with kids, in that it starts off like you've capitulated to naming the kid Gordon, and immediately she feels like, oh no, I've made a mistake. But there's no take backsies. You have to name it.
Because come to find out, Gordon is abusive to Cora. And Gordon, the father, suffered his own abuse from his father, Gordon. And so it's an abusive line of Gordons.
And the child Gordon in this timeline, he's a rotten kid who is trying to please father and get approval from his father.
And he realizes that telling on and making up these exaggerated stories about his mother will please father.
Right.
Because he realizes that father just wants to punish Cora. And so Gordon starts lying about these things that Cora has done or exaggerating, and it just feels so icky and wrong. And
But also, Gordon is really manipulative to the kids, too. Because while little Gordon is telling him these things, he leans in and is like, oh, really? Tell me more. Until little Gordon steps over the line into lie, and Father can tell, and he cuts him off. He denies him all that attention. It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
And then little Gordon's like, I'll do better next time. I'll tell him something next time that he'll really believe.
Which causes him to have these gotcha moments with his mom, where it feels like he's constantly trying to catch her in something so that he can tell his dad and get that approval.
He does meet Lily in this timeline, but while she's attracted to him, they go out to a party, he takes her out in the woods, and then tries to assault her. He almost ruins Lily as a person. Like, he almost breaks her.
Well, it changes her future.
Right.
Because she becomes basically an advocate for women who have suffered this abuse, sexual abuse.
Now, in that timeline, though, he's haunted as an adult by what he's done.
Especially after learning what Lily has become.
Well, little Gordon becomes an alcoholic and an abuser. He almost dies. He has to go through a rehab program. He gets a sponsor that's looking out for him, but he's on again, off again, good and bad with his choices.
And he's constantly still having this. He needs that reassurance from his father.
Yes.
And when he was drinking and on drugs, he was getting that from his father because he was getting lots of money and he had a successful job. But then it's like once he's in recovery and he's working for the sponsor at an art gallery and he's finally happy and like healing, Dad is disappointed in him.
He finds out that Lily has gone on to be that advocate.
Yes.
And he's haunted by what he did to her. How many times are we haunted just in the middle of the night when you wake up and think about something you did years ago
said,
that you can never take back? But while he's haunted by that, it's also a little bit crippling to know she did go on to be something better, but only because I ruined her as a person.
And she had a horrible time in high school because of it. It changed the way everyone else in that school viewed her. And didn't she end up like going home? Yes, okay. She left the school because she was suffering such abuse at school because of this situation.
But Gordon's story kind of makes a turnaround by the end because he turns on Father.
And saves his mom.
Even though in that timeline, Maya doesn't. Maya has been such a mother figure to him in the other timelines, but here it's like she's haunted by what has happened and doesn't want to try to intervene.
It's like she's avoidant in this one. She just has to get away, and she hides every part of herself in this timeline from her parents.
But Gordon steps up for Mom, and he does, in a way, save Mom by the end. So I don't know, it's weird to look at the trajectory and the storylines. We always teach kids the plot triangle, which it has its uses, but the plot triangle is not meant to be a cookie cutter kind of thing. But you can always like draw out their storylines, and it's interesting to see how your life storyline goes on a different pattern too. Ooh, if we did teach this one day, that's an activity I want to do, is like mapping out the timeline of your life and what roller coaster path does it follow. Have you been on a flat line this whole time? Do you have like mountain after mountain after mountain? Like,
and almost like
where?
You want to do it in a web activity of how did this affect this person and who all was involved in this activity.
I also note, I love how she leaves these subtle hints about characters in there. You talk about meeting Lily in the different timelines. Cora meets Felix in different timelines too, because in the one, Felix is brought over as a potential boyfriend for her. And they have a great evening together, but she is still not quite ready for another person. That's in Bear's timeline.
Because they meet back up later on, and she remembers him as that one date she went on.
But she told him, no thank you. And you could have, but no thank you. In the Julian timeline, she finds out that her mother has passed away months ago, and the legal people are sending documentation, And she only knows this because the mailman accidentally gave her the mail face to face. Her husband won't even let her check the mailbox, kept her mother's passing away from her. And so she makes this sudden decision to go find help, get out of the house and go find help. She goes to a veterinarian who gives her a cat to hold, right? That's Felix. In another timeline, you were dating this guy, but here he's the doctor who recognizes there's a danger and gets her to a safe house. So I think it's cool how you meet these different people in timelines. The people that you know now might or might not be your friends in another timeline. And just from personal experience, I know that that's true with me. The people that you meet, you don't know how important or not they're going to be to you at first. My wife and I met my first semester at Tech, and we didn't even know it. We were college freshmen, first semester. We were both in the same bowling class. And like across the room from each other. I had no idea that the future mother of my kids is sitting in the room with me. Now, we didn't actually get to know each other for another 4 years or anything like that, but she's right there in the room with you. How about that, our students could be bumping shoulders with somebody that's ultimately one day going to be their husband, or the person that tries to financially ruin them, or you have no idea how you interact with the people in your timeline.
I met Hunter's grandfather my senior year of high school. So I won the TVA scholarship, and only kids whose parents worked for the TVA or electric companies could apply for the scholarship, and I ended up winning it. And another girl from Crossville won it as well, and Hunter's grandfather was the head of Volunteer Electric. And so we sat at a table at this scholarship dinner in Nashville. It was me, my mom, my dad, and Jason Cloyd, the head of the Sparta office. And then it was this girl, her mom, and Hunter's grandfather. And then I didn't meet Hunter for another 4 years.
How cool is that you bump into these people? I feel like we also talked about that when you were my student teacher at one point, that you have no idea how important people are to you. Oh, golly, I'm having the strongest nostalgic memory right now that was part of our lesson one day. We were teaching something like this, that you have no idea how important the people are around you, that you could be bumping into somebody that one day is ultimately going to matter in a good way or a bad way to you, and you just don't know it yet. Or your future spouse could be sitting in the room with you, and you'll never know it. And if you don't reach out and make that contact, there goes that timeline. So kiddos, the next time you're like, ooh, I don't know if I should ask that girl out, take a chance. Take a chance, because you don't know where that timeline's going to go, right? 3 different endings to each of their stories. One was a great, happy story that ended with a lot of sadness. And one was a really heavy, terrible, tragic story that ends with some goodness. Gordon becomes a good guy by the end of it. And then Julian's timeline is up and down, up and down, up and down, but it ends with some goodness in there too.
And I mean, even Bears that ends in tragedy, they've learned how to move on from it. And I mean, the characters do end that timeline. You're hopeful for Cora and Felix because they have rekindled and had this wonderful night that they have stayed up talking all night. And then you get Lily and Pearl. They have not moved on, but they have went through their grief with Bear and learned how to live life without Bear, basically. And so, I mean, they all end semi-hopeful, some more than others.
True. But, I mean, I guess this is a spoiler, but if you followed us this far, I guess you don't care that far. That's not exactly how the book ends either, because all 3 timelines suddenly collide. She's back at the office, and she hasn't made her choice yet. The future's still unwritten, because that's what if I had named him Bear? What if I had done this?
And you don't know.
Oh, because it ends in such a neat, open-ended way where the future's not completely written. There's an epilogue, and in the final scene, she's back in the office where she hasn't yet signed the baby's birth certificate, but she chooses a fourth alternate name. She chooses to name him Hugh, Hugh. So what could be the future? And we don't get anything because the future's yet unwritten. We don't know what this timeline will be. But I just love how there's like all these different possibilities of where we could go with each of these things. I love that you wanted to teach this to ninth grade, and I do think it is a great story that ninth graders would really like if we could get past some hurdles.
Yeah.
What was your concern with it?
Well, I mean, of course, I have concerns about the domestic abuse, the violence aspect. The Gordon timeline is brutal. Cora goes through, I mean, each timeline, you get the start of a brutality moment when Gordon finds out what she has named either Bear or Julian. But then the Gordon one just continues with this just prolonged abuse of Cora's life. That concerns me.
Yeah.
But then also, the other one is the scene in the Gordon timeline with Lily when they're 14 at the party.
Yeah, because we're even sitting here talking about it, and we're not like shoulder to shoulder with people or anything, but I feel like we have to be careful on talking about certain things without offending other people. And that's a very serious scene that happens.
So on one hand, of course, like I'm hesitant to do that in a classroom because I don't want to open the door to parents and community outrage, basically, of what are you teaching these kids. But on the other hand, I'm just like, with an honors class and a more, in reality, you hope it's a more mature minded class. But I mean, they're still kids, yeah. But like, those are kind of conversations that I would like to have. You know, I mean, it's conversations of, you should be aware you might be in this situation someday. You know, girls, like, you might be in a situation where you feel that pressure. Boys, don't ever pressure a girl like that. If, you know, or, you know, you may have kids sitting in that classroom that are seeing that violence at home.
Right.
And might need a hopeful story to get out of it.
Right.
And it's almost one of those deals of like, I don't ever want to sugarcoat life to my students. And I don't always just want to give them these happy rainbow stories of, you know, life is all rainbow, sunshine, roses. Like, I think sometimes it's important to recognize we do have students living those lives and that might go home to an angry dad or, I don't know. I just think
we teach so much tragedy in high school. Freshman and sophomore year, we teach so much tragedy. Romeo and Juliet, tragedy. Julius Caesar, tragedy. Hamlet, tragedy. And I get that they're not all like completely sad or bad stories.
Yeah.
But this one has plenty of real life tragedy to it. And yet it is not mired down constantly by, well, everybody has to end with a funeral. We all have to die. That's the end of the play. No, because there's plenty of good and enjoyment
and I do
love.
feel like this story shows you that you can get through tragedy, and that while you may have bad moments in life, or you may have moments that you feel like you're never going to get through this, or it's impossible to overcome this, I think each timeline shows you that there is still good, and that if you can just get past that moment, you know, it might be a bad moment, but it's not a bad life. Because each timeline you see these characters having their own successes.
That's my soundbite. That's my soundbite that I'm going to use for this. You said it perfectly right there. Thank God I recorded this. If you could have gotten anything more out of the book, what would you have wanted more?
See, I don't know. Like, this is a 5-star read for me.
I put it down as 5 stars too. This is 100% 5-star read.
This was my favorite read of 2025. And I mean, I read it, I think, in February of last year. And so stood through every other book I read last year, like as one that I thought about constantly. And I mean, I immediately was like, Mom, you have to read this book. And she read this book and she loved it. And we talked about it. And it's still one that we will every once in a while be like, hey, you remember reading the names? And we'll talk about it again. Like, it's a book that sticks with you.
Well, and you gave me this copy, and then I made my daughter read it before the AP exam. Thank God, because she wound up using it on the AP exam. She was like, I know that book. I can write about it. And she loves it. And my daughter is a reader. She used to be more of a reader when she was young. But as a teenager, she plowed through this book. So we really love it. Is there anything more you could want from it?
I don't know. Like, I feel like you have beautifully created characters, whether good or bad. I mean, tragic, hopeful. You have both ends of the spectrum. I feel like I love the multiple timelines. I feel like you have really just well-developed conflicts in each timeline. I love the connections in each timeline. I mean, I just feel like there's so much you can do with this book. I'm sitting here struggling, trying to think of anything I would want to add to it. I mean, just like I said to you earlier, I thought as I was reading through, I wonder if these names mean something. And then you get to the end of the book and you've got an appendix of what these names mean. Like, I feel like this author has thought of everything.
I 100% agree with you. There's nothing else I want to add to this. I don't want to cut anything away from it, and I don't want to add to it because I think she made a great cut of the book right here. I say that because every time I use a book like this with class, there's always going to be these kids, and I adore you sophomores, but there always are going to be these kids who are like, why didn't we get to know more about this? Why didn't she finish the book? She should have written a whole chapter. I don't need the chapter about Hugh.
Right.
I love that she left with an open-ended, we don't know what the future holds for anybody. It's your choices that are going to make you who you are from here on out. You can be anything. The future's not written for this family or these kids yet. So I like that it leaves it open-ended. I don't know.
I also think students appreciate books that feel real. I have found that the students have enjoyed these real life coming of age stories more than like The Most Dangerous Game. Like, I have seen better discussions, and I'm not saying there's not a place for those stories, because there's 100% a place for The Most Dangerous Game and Lamb to the Slaughter and, these stories that aren't going to happen every day, that are dramatized. Like, I mean, I love those stories, but I don't know, like, I saw such success this past year using more realistic fiction stories than some imagined fantasies, because I think it was easier for the students to put themselves in the character's point of view and perspective and think through what they would do in that situation. I don't know. And so I still, like, this would be a dream book for me to do in a classroom situation.
Yeah. I do think that while the interactions between him and Lily and some of the other, I think that's tough to use in a classroom, but you're absolutely right. None of us are using this as an instruction manual for here's what you should do. And any parent who has that in your head, like, come on, that's not what goes on in the classroom.
No.
It is the domestic abuse that is so much more an affront to our sensibilities, and man, it is so hard to watch how Gordon treats his wife, or how the kid, Gordon, narcs on the mom and fuels it. Like, it's really hard to stomach that, but you're right in that plenty of that goes on or could go on if you allow that to be. So, I mean, we read these cautionary tales. We got to be honest with these stories that we're using. We're in a unique position because we have a set of standards that we have to teach. Amen. We have a set of standards that we have to teach. And we sure have a lot of data that we have to parse and have hard conversations about too. But we're in a unique position in that we don't teach a timeline of historical events and dates that have made us the society we are. We don't have formulas. We don't have a periodic table of elements that we're like, here, we got it. We have stories. And what's the point of using these stories is because they hold a mirror up and they reflect our humanity. And they allow us to have 85-minute class periods where we can engage with who we're becoming as human beings, which I think makes English the most important class that we have in high school.
We're helping to make good little humans.
Well, especially to bring it back full circle. I mean, in the age of AI, if anybody can go to a generative AI and have it produce work for them, they're losing out on their human understanding of voice, of scenarios. You had started off by talking about how you could walk into the room and know that there was tension and abuse or whatever. How do we know that? How can you walk into a room and know the relationship between the teacher and these students? How do we know that if we're just walking into the room? Because we pick up on the context clues. We've learned to read the room and read the relationships.
Facial expressions, tone of voice.
So many different things that suddenly
The mood.
calculate. Yeah. So we are teaching future generations the humanity of your voice, of your context, of your connections. That's why we hate them sitting behind the Chromebooks, because you're just losing that. Well, we need to be face-to-face and interacting with our stories. That's what makes us human. So that's my soundbite.
Yeah, there's your soundbite.
But how wonderful that Florence Knapp's novel helps us do that. So, I don't know. We need to assess where, but I think sometime we should throw it. Someday we should throw it at a class. I do think that is the most challenging thing, and I get why parents are like going to be hesitant about that.
And I will say, like, I don't feel like the scene with 14-year-old Gordon and Lily, I don't feel like it's graphic. It's definitely not like it's not a sensual scene.
Right.
It's not a graphic scene that overly explains anything.
Right.
It's an uncomfortable scene.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a scene that should make you feel uncomfortable.
I would say that in a way it pairs up very much with Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and a lot of these other novels that we teach. And I will go to the mattresses. I will fight anybody. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow was a great book for summer reading and a great book to use with sophomores. And yes, it has some disturbing content to it. But again, we're not presenting that so we can be like, ooh, read this.
Yeah.
We're presenting it because these kids need to be cautious. They need to watch out for that.
You're not supposed to be okay with what happens. Like, it should be a red flag. It should be something that you're like, ooh, I'm not okay with him doing that to her. Or I feel bad for Lily. You should feel bad for Lily.
Yeah.
And I think it's a cautionary tale of how easy it is to get yourself in that situation and feel trapped.
Yeah. Well, how many times do we use other texts that do the same thing? John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men has a lot of language, has violence. You look at a lot of the other texts that we use, and there's violence, there's abuse, there's language.
Well, I mean, I used Where the Crawdads Sing my first year with 9th grade honors. And, I mean, Kaya, there's an attempted rape in that book. And it is way more graphic than the names. And the language in that book as well. But, I mean, again, it was one of those deals of where I feel like that is such a situation that girls can get themselves into, of where you feel like you're doing this because you're wanting to be accepted, or, you know, you feel like it's something you have to do at that age, and or that everyone else is doing it, and you know, you can get yourself into really bad situations with that. And I think 9th, 10th graders, they're at the age of where that is starting to be more prevalent to them.
I know you would handle this very well in a classroom because I've trained you and I know you're a wonderful person and You are just an amazing teacher as well, because you always come with a binder prepared. I will never, ever, ever forget when you were my student teacher, and I said, all right, in January, you're going to teach Beowulf. And you came to me like 2 weeks ahead of time with a color-coded binder of all of these ideas, and you're like, so can I walk you through it? And I was just like, oh my God, yes. Like,
I still have that. I take it to interviews with me because you were so impressed with it, and I was like, man, I think
would have
people's
taken me
impressed with this.
It would have taken me 3 years to get that, and you had it 2 weeks ahead of time. I know you would do a great job with this book in the classroom. I also know that there are other teachers out there who wouldn't.
And it could get so easily out of control and out of hand.
Yeah.
I think like if you're not prepared to come to it with one, like I think before the kids read it, you recognize you're going to come across some mature themes in this book. There's going to be some things that might make you uncomfortable. It's supposed to. These are not things that we take lightly, and we're going to have some mature adult conversations about this, and we're going to talk about why these things are not okay.
Yeah. I think if you have that relationship built up front, it would be a lot easier. Did you have anybody bothered by Where the Crawdads Sing?
No.
So we're in the same realm.
Yeah.
I think if it were handled well, you could definitely use something like this.
And I think like just being prepared to have those conversations, and like you yourself not being blindsided by it, like being prepared, like you're going to have some kids who might not come at it with a mature mindset and are going to be like, ooh, sex in a book.
And that's what you have to handle right there in the moment
you
in the classroom.
You have to shut it down immediately.
Yes. That's not
You're
the arena
in
for this.
class.
Nobody thinks that's funny.
Yeah.
It's got great character development. It also does not just give you a stereotype villain. Like we don't excuse it, but you also see why Gordon, the dad, is the way he is when he's sitting at dinner with his father and his son. And boy, you just kind of cackle when you're like, wow, that's why the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
And I mean, you also get one of your protagonists kind of being the villain. Like in Little Gordon's timeline, you don't like him a lot of the times.
Right.
I mean, he is not redeemed until the end of his timeline. You know, I mean, he's kind of a skeezy character from in his 20s.
Yeah. So it doesn't have especially dense writing or language, and I think that's wonderful about it. I think that there are going to be some teachers out there who are prejudiced against a text like this because they expect, well, if you're going to use it in high school, it really needs to be more artful. It really needs to be more mature.
Classically American lit canon.
I think the Book of the Month label is going to throw a lot of people off.
Or the Good Morning America, Jenna's Book Club. You know, those, I think... because even when I handed you the book, I was like, I know it has this book club label, because I think we have learned to be a little turned off by that because you think it's mainstream literature.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could easily see this book becoming, something used in classrooms down the road.
There's a book I'm using this summer with AP Lit called The Kite Runner. Did I ever have you read that before?
No, but you gave me a copy to read.
That's right.
And I'm excited to read it.
You're going to love it.
I'm very excited
later
to read
this summer, I would like to pod about that one too. Khaled Hosseini wrote this beautiful book, and detractors have said that, well, it's a little bit too easy to read his symbolism. It's a little bit too easy that he's just forcing this cookie cutout symbolism. I have never heard somebody get up on their high horse and really complain about writing like that when, like, it's a beautifully written book. Not every sentence needs to be Fitzgerald or Faulkner or whatever. Like, not everything has to be, these convoluted, overcomplicated sentences. Well, I think it's well written, easily digested.
And I think, too, like, you have to recognize with the times that canon is going to change. Writing styles are going to change, evolve, develop differently. I mean, we're not in a Fitzgerald time anymore. We're not in a Steinbeck time anymore. Like, the way people write has changed. And so when you look at what the canon looks like later and what's being added to the canon now, you know, I mean, it is different. And I think we can't always judge based off of, I mean, if we were doing that, then, you know, shouldn't it still look like Shakespeare?
Right. Well, I think it's a wonderful book, and I'm really glad you gave me a copy of it. And I don't know, let's see what we can do to get this in the classroom someday. Let's do that. What are you going to do with the rest of your day?
I'm going to go get a massage at 2
Oh
o'clock.
my gosh, you're living the life right now.
I am. I might hit up a bookstore.
Ooh, that sounds fun too.
Yeah.
That's a good
might
idea.
have a third coffee, who knows?
There's nothing stopping me.
I know.
It's summer break. I can do whatever, right? Well,
Caffeine max.
we are caffeine maxing right now. I'm really grateful, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
Yeah.
Honors is a Free Zone Radio production, created here in Sparta, Tennessee. Thanks for spending your summer with us on the radio. If you enjoyed this content, please give us a like, share the link with someone you know, or give us a 5-star rating, and hit that subscribe button for more. Word of mouth might be the best advertising, but clicking like and subscribe really does help keep us afloat and visible in all the platforms. And we want to keep working to bring you even more episodes next season. Stick with us for the big summer read of 2026, The Lord of the Rings. We're taking the book chunk by chunk, volume by volume this summer, starting with The Fellowship of the Ring. Read along with us. Send us all your thoughts and questions, and let us know if you want to be on the show too. And go listen to this week's episodes from our other show, Second Stage, and our brother podcast, A Dead Man's Books. They make for great listening while you're tanning by the pool, or mowing the yard, or driving on that 8-hour family trip. You can find all our shows here on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to great content.
Hey everyone, my name is Drew, and I want to talk to you about my show, A Dead Man's Books. The show was created with the mindset of whenever I pass away, as morbidly as that sounds, that my children would inherit my books, and of all the things that I'm going to pass down to them, I think that that's the one thing that I want them to make sure that they keep and go through on their own time, but I want to be there next to them whenever they read these things. And so I created a podcast so that they could go back and listen to me and my friends and other people as we read through these books and what we had to think about it. But it's grown to so much more. We've got authors we interview. We talk about everyday life. We talk about how literature connects to life. All of those things in one place. And now we want you to come along with us and join us. This is a podcast not just for my kids, but for everyone who loves to read, everyone who loves a good story, everyone who's a parent, everyone who's a teacher, everyone who just enjoys literature. This is a place to come. So come join us every Monday on A Dead Man's Books.